Let's go, let's go, let's go. Alright, people wanna hate every day, it's okay.
All right, welcome back, Reckless Success. Tonight we got my beautiful wife Lesa on, and we're gonna tell some great stories and just update you on what we have going on in our current life. Because as we said before, once spring hits, it's hectic.
It's crazy.
There's so much going through my head.
Starts immediately, just
all
out
day
of nowhere.
long. My wife's head, like I call her, and she's doing a million different things. She's pricing this and that, and just so much stuff. We've got into real estate a little bit. We bought a commercial building. We renovated it. And we renovated it really nice. Well, just nicer stuff than your standard commercial.
Like, we didn't
building.
purposely do the cheapest route. We
did the epoxy floors.
Yeah, we like higher end work to it to make it nice. We didn't want it cheaply done. It's easy to slap stuff in there that looks pretty, but like we want it to last for our tenant. We're going to rent it out. And we wanted it to be like a beautiful update to the community.
Right. More modern.
And it turned out really good.
It did. So we've been working on that secretly for the past, 6 months or so?
6 to 8 months, I guess.
6 to 8 months. So we found a building we wanted. Process we took on it is good for anybody out there to learn this. It's something I picked up actually probably off my wife. She showed me GIS. Which is something that
great tool. That's not everywhere.
Every county has one, but your county probably has something similar.
Mm-hmm. There's a good chance.
And you basically pull up a map. It's called like GIS of your county, and I'm saying GIS. And
it's like Geographical Information System.
Okay.
That may not be correct, but it's something like
Sounds
that.
good. It's an acronym
because it is a map of information.
Yeah. So what I do, or what I started doing was, I would drive around and I would see a piece of land. And this is mostly started with me for wanting to buy land. So I'll see a piece of land. It won't be for sale, but I can tell nobody's done nothing with it for a long time. So then we'll get on GIS. We'll find out who pays the taxes on it. And it tells you who owns it. Mm-hmm. You can usually take their name, hop over to Facebook, find the person, and then shoot them a message and just say, hey, would you lease this land? If you're wanting to ride on it or hunt.
Right, or you want to sell it.
Or do you want to sell it? And we have had luck with it. Mm-hmm. I also come up with ideas a lot of times, and I'll call and make a deal, and then I'll be like, it's not a good place. I just like to make the deal.
I don't think you make the deal. You inquire about the deal, and then you're like, the more I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to see if you'd say yes. But some of these deals work out. So in this particular case, Lesa and I wanted to, we've been kind of watching, just like everybody, the videos about how to get into real estate and how much real estate does for a lifestyle as far as passive income. Basically, I mean, you still got to update it, but you can hire companies for that.
There was a specific plan for this piece of property, though. Jesse just has just blocked out this whole original plan. We wanted to open a laundromat.
Oh, yeah. I forgot all about the laundromat.
That was our plan, and we found a building we thought would be perfect. It was like rectangular shaped, good parking lot, in a town that did not have a laundromat. That was decent size. It had all this research on everything about laundromats.
For a year, we researched laundromats. I did block that out.
Yeah, just population, income potential.
We had quotes on the equipment.
Got in touch with a supplier, got an entire floor plan. And before we got the floor plan, we called. We found out who owned this building that was obviously been vacant for a long time.
But back up. Mm-hmm. So we found that on GIS. We found the building.
Right.
Let's finish that one, and then we'll go on to the laundromat maybe.
I double as a private investigator in my free time.
Yes.
I can find out anything about anybody.
You cannot slip nothing by Lesa.
It brings me a lot of joy. I love hunting down information.
She'll be like, "Do you have Sonic for lunch?" And I'm like,
"Ew,
damn, how did she know
I
that?"
don't. That's disgusting. But no, it was in a business name, and I tracked down. I don't remember how the owner.
So we looked it up. Yeah, we looked up
who
this
actually
building.
knew him, and he's a super cool dude. Which it worked. So I tracked down his phone number, and then we got a hold of him. Right.
So we saw a building had been vacant for a while. We had no clue when we called the guy how nice it really was.
And how big it was.
Nice, yeah, and big. It looked small. It was an old Huck's building at one time. They had the remediation papers saying that everything, the tanks were removed. So we made an offer on it. Just what we thought was fair, and the guy accepted it, and it was fair. I mean, it was an older building because we had to put as much as we paid for it into it almost.
And he was super patient, like letting us do all of our due diligence and have inspections done and get all these contractor quotes because it did need a lot of work. There was water damage in parts of it, and it just, needed all new floors. Some walls needed replaced. So it was structurally sound, but it just needed a lot of gutting.
Right.
And
It just sat for
he
a
was
long
very
time.
patient on letting us work through all that. And then he still had all of his office stuff there. He had successful businesses himself. And so then he slowly had to start moving out all of his old files and
Right.
had all kinds of stuff in there. So it was a
So
process.
basically, it looked like an office from the 90s. But
Yeah.
Like, it looked like he closed up shop and just left everything there, like computers, files, stuff like that.
But he didn't care. He wasn't doing anything
Yeah.
with it. So it was like a little storage space
He
for
was a
him.
great guy. He was great to work with.
Yeah.
He gave us a fair deal on it. And then we generaled it. So basically, we kind of figured
The
up.
time out. So our laundromat plan. So we had this supplier come down, see the building. They made plans for our laundromat. Like we were to the point of like financing equipment. And that week, I was driving through this town's main strip, and there was a sign that said other laundromat coming soon. And I was like, what? Like there hasn't been a laundromat in this town for years.
Right.
You've got to be kidding me. They just broke ground. And then we did all the math on, is the town big enough to support 2 laundromats? And although maybe it could have supported them, it would not have been a super profitable. And we're not just doing stuff to make $10 a month. Like
Right. We're not trying to make.
not spinning our
3,000
wheels.
Yeah, I mean, not trying to put a lot of time and effort to only making a few
Minimal.
$1,000 or something.
Yeah, and it's a
not-
huge investment. Laundromats are a very big investment. So that's when we still went forward with the plan to get the building because we knew it was a great location. It had good bones. It had potential.
Right.
And then we, generaled, I guess, and made
Yeah,
plans
so
to
then-
renovate.
Once we got the building and we switched from the laundromat idea, then we, figured up all the costs to remodel. We got quotes from flooring, the painters, the drywall, the framers that had to, reframe stuff. Siding. We did an all new asphalt parking lot. It had a concrete parking lot that was real broke up. So, but we just, pulled our resources together. Luckily, we're in the industry, so we knew a lot of people that already do that.
Good
and we-
companies that
good
were
companies.
reputable that we knew would do good work. That's
Right.
the big thing.
And it turned out great. We've got a potential renter. We've had a few potential renters, a bunch of different ideas come through with commercial buildings. Just, somebody will look at it and they'll have an idea for a coffee shop or of a
Hair salon,
or
daycare.
daycare. So then you're racking your brain like, okay, how do I turn this into a hair salon or a daycare?
And it's doable. The space, all the interior walls are not load bearing, so that is
Yep.
in our favor. However, if someone's starting a business like that and then they need to pay for construction costs to renovate something into like a daycare center and put it like a kitchen in, that's a big expense for someone starting out. So
it wasn't suit to build or build to suit. It
wasn't build to suit because we
didn't have a renter.
right. And then it would have just been even more like someone told me they looked into a build a suit thing in another town nearby and it was like $21 a square foot, which is a lot of money. So, we just weren't, like you said.
So we think we found a good renter. They seem like they're very interested. So hopefully that works out. This process, we were nervous. What if somebody doesn't rent it? We had backup plans.
Right.
But we've, working with a guy now. So I think they're going to rent it. And we're already looking at the next building to buy. And it is kind of nice because it's in a town. Another one of our friends we know, she came through our hometown, basically remodeled the whole town
Oh, yeah.
and made it look nice. So like we're kind of doing this. This is the next town over from where we live, but there's a lot of buildings that are older that could, that have good bones that just need to be.
Yeah. They're on
Fixed
main
up.
roads. Like,
They're on the main
they have
road.
potential.
The town's booming still. So we're going to
Yeah.
buy another building and do the process over again.
We're looking into it at least.
So
But-
if Lisa didn't have enough on her plate of being the accountant,
Now I have
the,
to be a general
office lady
contractor
from Air
again.
Excavating, general contractor podcast.
Yeah, that's why today was so crazy. That's why I feel like my brain is just going in like 12 different directions at all times. So like I'm thinking about 12 completely different things. Like our younger son had his 5-year check with the doctor, but I was also dealing with estimates for a little bit of work I needed done on our building before it's ready to rent. But then I also was contacting someone about doing an inspection at this new building you looked at. So I had to call like 4 people about that. It's so like, but it's just all this is going through my head at once. It's like exhausting. I feel like my brain's going to explode sometimes.
You can do it, baby. I need you to
I
keep
know.
pushing 100% for
I
about 10
will,
more
but
years.
it's weird when your brain is like separated. I think what's hard is it's like I'm not just busy in excavation or I'm not just busy in editing the podcast and being a parent or, doing 2 jobs.
Right.
It's like 10. And I'm not complaining. It's just sometimes my brain is literally like going crazy, but it's okay. There's people doing a lot more than I do in a day and they pull it off. So
Lesa is very driven. So Lesa works for our business, hopefully not for much longer, from our house because we've had an infant starting out basically. So it was easier for you to work from home for the business.
Right. When he was a baby.
Yeah. But now he's getting to the age of where little man's about to go to kindergarten.
Sad.
So we'll pick up an office building and move my excavating there, hopefully.
Then I'll have to hire someone full-time to do laundry and dishes and all the chores I do in between working that Jesse doesn't realize only get done because I am in the house
as
working.
As long as it gets done, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But for the most part, whenever we had our youngest child, and that's when Lesa had the time off for maternity leave, and then that's when we decided we needed you to work for my excavating.
Yeah.
Since then, like, Lesa is not one of those people that sleeps until 9, gets up in her PJs and does a little bit of work. Like, she's up when I'm up. She's working when I'm working. So she goes hard. I give you props for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's good for me.
If she does sleep in, she beats herself up over it.
It
So
messes up my whole day. I want to sleep in, but no, if I'm not up and going before like the kids get up, it screws up everything. My whole day's messed up. So yeah, I prefer to get up early and I don't know, go
the
hard
early
all
bird
day.
gets the worm.
Yeah.
I did see a thing about the other day. It was probably on TikTok. I see a lot of TikTok stuff, but it was talking about how this guy's grandpa always told him to get up early and get to work. And then by the time everybody else is up and you get to work, you've already got a lot of accomplished. So, I mean, it is a good point. I don't know where that was going.
So we're looking into getting the second building to start renovating. And at first we weren't, like, we knew we wanted to do more real estate, but we weren't sure what route we wanted to go with that. And we got this itch because we have lots of friends that live down by this beautiful lake that's nearby our house. And we're like, we want to get a place at the lake. And we could Airbnb it sometimes and enjoy it sometimes and then, build equity in it or make a little money off of it. But when we really put the numbers together, it's like, if we're actually going to go enjoy it also, we're really not going to make money on it. And then you're picking up a whole other mortgage and you're tying up all this debt with like this lake house that's only, and it's another headache. And it's like only part of the year because we have solid winter here, so it's like, 6 months out of the year that you're enjoying it
Like 8,
or making any money at all. So we sadly were like, okay, we'll hold off on something like that so that we can invest in our future and look at more real estate that's like truly for bettering the business or renting out and making more money that way. That's another thing about like pouring back into your business, looking ahead to the future and not just buying a bunch of stuff because you finally have a little money come in or whatever. Like it's hard choices. But
the way I look at it, for a purchase that big, like a lake house,
yeah, it's big.
I feel like we need other money coming in to
pay
cover
for
that.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
What we decided to do was if we want a lake house, then we need to get another building, get it rented, and then, then we've got a way to cover the cost of that. But we don't want to keep adding or add to what, our lifestyle is.
Yeah.
If we want a big toy like that, we'll
find a different way
find
to pay
an
for
asset
it.
that's paying money for it and then covers that cost.
Yeah. Finances 101 with Jesse and Lesa.
Yeah. The guy that had a flat credit history.
We probably
just
saw
a
that
few
on
years ago.
TikTok, that little piece of advice. But it's the truth.
I see all the
It's the
advice
truth.
I have on TikTok.
It's a good advice. And it helps to hear other people say it because then when you're thinking like, I want to go buy this luxurious thing, you're like, wait. That's stupid. Like, why would we blow all
You
this
just
money
got to
here?
think, like, where's the money coming from? So if
Yeah.
you're buying another house and then you got, say you are going to Airbnb it, that's a great idea. But there's headache that comes along with it. I know
And
it
insurance,
sounds...
cleaning people, making sure everything's done right. Like, are they going to
and
damage
scheduling
it?
that. So we like to
yeah.
think, well, we're starting to think we've fucked up a bunch of times, just
For
like
sure.
everybody else. But we're starting to realize let's focus on what makes money. But like, so when we look at the Airbnb, is it worth the time we would spend messing with it compared to what we're doing other places that makes money, or should we just focus on those other places? So that's
Yeah.
what we're doing.
There's plenty of time for a little lake house.
Yeah. Once we get a building and can pay for it.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the Airbnb thing, really. It sounds like a headache.
I don't know.
I like my stuff there. I don't want somebody coming in pilfering through my shit.
Right. I would hate to have our own
Sleeping
place.
in my bed.
Right. I would
You
hate to
know
have
what?
our own place, but then all these strangers are sleeping in our bed.
Yeah,
I
they'd
didn't
have to
think
bring an
about
air
that.
mattress. You got bring one of those egg crates I used to sleep on when I was a kid.
Yeah. You can set them up where there's like one bedroom that's like locked off and you don't rent it, but then you have to buy that much of a bigger place that has
Right.
so that's like your bedroom with your stuff, but still it's a whole thing. I don't know. Maybe someday. I don't know if we're at that where we want to rent we don't like people being in our stuff in our space.
Right.
We'll see.
So, what I was wanting to tell you about was not drug related crazy story, but operator related crazy story, because I have crazy stories all over the place. But when I was an apprentice out of the operator's hall, I was learning to run cranes. You know, I'm all excited because this is a big thing, like crane operators.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good job title to
Yeah.
have. So I'm learning to run cranes, and they send me to a job with this company. It's at this big power plant, and we were building mooring cells, which I talked about this with Matt and Mike. But we were building a mooring cell out in the river, which is so the mooring cells where a barge coming down the river can dock, you know, and they'll tie off to those big round things that you see on the side of the bridges. Sometimes those big round pilings sticking out of the
Why do
water.
they do that, to like get loaded or something?
Get loaded, or you know, it might be a bad curve up ahead, so barges will pull over and they'll let another barge come by,
Oh.
type stuff. And I could have made that shit up, but I don't know what the fuck they're for.
I just don't know much about the river.
Yeah, it had
or
big,
barges.
you know, eyes on it. It was at an electrical plant, so that one probably was to tie off too on the side. So I go to this job at this power plant. I'm all excited. Sorry we're coughing so much. There's shit going around. But cigarettes going around.
Not me.
Not Lisa. So I go to this job, and this guy, I'm oiling. I'm the oiler. And which means the operator of the crane has got a separate guy that just watches everything. He oils, he checks the oil, he greases it. He does all the maintenance on it. And he's basically, if he's not doing that, he's watching swing radius and just making sure nothing's fucking up.
Everything's safe.
Yep, everything's going right. So that was my task. And the operator, I'm an apprentice. I'm new, so I'm like the prospect or whatever in a biker gang, basically. I'm the little bitch. So the operator shows up, and he is all fucked up. I could tell right off the bat. And I just got home from prison like a year ago.
He's on
I
drugs,
don't
you
know
think,
why
or
my-
drunk?
So I'm the young buck, and I've got this guy shows up, and he's all fucked up, and I'm like, I can tell right off the bat, he's just a wild loose cannon. He pulled up in an old, you know, little shitty truck, and I'm like, okay, here we go. So we get out on this barge, and right off the bat, this guy's telling me all kinds of crazy shit. But let me start at day one. So day one, we're all sitting around talking. We all just met. You know, it's a union job, so that everybody's new. It's not a company that comes as a crew.
Yeah.
And the crane operator is telling the boss that he had done some jail time. I didn't even mention that I'd been to prison because I'm just like, these guys are fucking stupid. He's talking about jail.
You don't want to lead with that always.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, it was literally when we just met. We were
Yeah.
all just getting to know each other. So the boss, just joking around, and this happens on a construction site, says, well, you ever been with a man? And it was all like just joking off. He's like, yeah, right. You know, like nothing. So as the job goes on over the next couple weeks, this guy gets crazier and crazier. And like, he'll go in the back of the crane. He's smoking pot.
what?
We're on a barge, you know, and like we're with another company running their crane. So it's not like you can like blow it and the wind's going to carry it that way. We're in the center of a barge. There's people all over the outside of the crane.
Whoa.
This guy's going in the engine room. He's hitting his one hit. I'm outside the crane like, shit. You know, like I can smell
This
that.
is
So I'm like
bad.
telling the guy, like, dude, I can smell it outside the crane, whatever you're doing. He's like, ah, fuck it. But he's showing up every day like hungover, fucked up. And so he starts fucking up. Well, no, he starts missing days of work. He wasn't showing up. He'd
Oh,
show up
no.
like 3 out of 5 days.
That's nuts.
And the other 2 days, I would run the crane as the oiler, even though I didn't have my crane license yet. I might have, but I was oiling, But they will the crane operators let the oilers run. That's how
So
they
get
learn.
used to it, yeah.
I'd been running already, so I'm running it. So they're already seeing in them 2 days a week that I'm running it that they want me to run it instead of this fucking loose cannon, right?
God.
And one day he's taking it was a hairpin, which is just like a steel H-pile beam, just a steel beam. And they'll have cables going from that beam to tires. And then from the tires, they'll have another set of cables going to the crane cable. And that's like a shock load. The tires, like I'm talking car tires,
Oh.
act like a shock absorber for that steel beam because it was a friction rig, not hydraulics. So I'd be holding 2 pedals, brake pedals, and you let up on one. I
Crazy.
know, it was so crazy. In this fucking crane, like cranes have to be inspected every year. I swear to God, I've never seen this on any other job. This company I was working with had a wrench welded as one of the levers because the lever had broke off and they
Oh
welded a
my
lever. I'm like,
God.
damn. And the brakes were all fucked up. Like I was always so nervous. I'd let the boom down and it was all in a brake that I'd hold with my foot and I'd have to let a little bit up and it'd be like,
Oh, that's
So-
terrifying.
It was. So, anyways, this hairpin, we would beat out the top of the concrete, the top of the mooring so it would have a cap. We'd drop it and the steel beam would break it up, basically like a jackhammer. So he takes that over the guy in the basket, the man basket that's up there, and he lets off the brake. Okay, I went too far. Let me back up. A couple days earlier, the dude's on pills or something. I forgot this part. And he passed out across the controls at like 10 o'clock in the morning like this.
What?
With the levers all sticking up.
Oh my God.
And these guys are up in man baskets. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. My operators done passed the
He could
fuck
kill
out.
someone or himself, like
Yeah.
5 people all at once, real quick.
So I'm like shaking him, like, hey, dude, he's all fucked up. He's getting up. I can tell he's like
What?
oxy or heroin. Something's going on. I'm like, oh my gosh. I should have said something.
Right. See something, say something.
See something, say something. But at this time, I
When
was
you're
green.
so new, you feel
I was
like
green as
yeah.
a gourd, whatever it is, gorge or whatever. So, like, basically, I'm like the low man on the totem pole. This dude's like chief because he's a journeyman.
Tenured, yeah.
So I don't know what my role is.
Oh,
I'm just
God.
trying to figure out what the hell's going
Looking
on
back,
here.
yeah, it's like you should.
Yeah,
have said
looking
something.
back now, I would definitely say something. But but this is just construction site shit. So he passed out on the controls. I wake him up. I'm like, this dude, and all the other crew that we're working for sees that this is a bad situation.
Yeah, they're
But
pretty
they
careful.
also need workers. So for some reason, they're putting up with it. This story's crazy. So the guy takes the beam up and he's going over the guy in the man basket and he lets go of the brake and the thing come down and hit the handrail on the man basket and dented it. And the guy in the man basket's like 300 pounds. He's a big old boy. He's way
Oh
up there
my
on a
God.
barge. So like a barge list, anytime the crane goes that way, it'll kind of tilt a little bit. So when you're up in a man basket,
Ugh.
it's all fucked up.
It's terrifying.
So
Well, it
he-
could have hit him in the head and
it
killed
could have
him.
killed the guy.
Yeah.
So he dropped it. Luckily, it hit the handrail, dented it all down. Dude knew he fucked up. And the bosses all matter and fucking like instantly they're on the phone with BAs, the operators calling the BAs. Everybody's trying to get their story out
Yeah.
before we even have a meeting. They call a meeting and they get us all together and they tell this guy, they're like, listen, we want Jesse to run the crane and you be the oiler, but we'll still pay you your crane pay. Whatever,
That's
it was
generous.
more money than what I
Yeah.
was making. So the dude's like a loose cannon. He's like, all right, that's all I fucking needed to hear. And he walks over to the crane. I've never seen like a human do something like this, but like there's this computer that's like bracketed into the console, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And this dude just reaches in there and ripped the whole thing out and threw it out in the river like fucking
What?
the
Like Hulk
Incredible
smash?
Hulk. Yeah, like Hulk smash.
Oh my God.
Rips it out of the fucking cab and throws it out in the river. Then he takes the logbook for the crane and throws it out in the river. I'm like, damn, we're going hard. And I'm like, this is getting crazy, you know? But the guy fucked up and it's a fight going on, you know, they're saying this. So he comes back, he's like, take me to the fucking bank. So we had this, do you remember the boat? It was called Low Bid One, and I'm gonna pop a picture up here. It's called Low Bid One. So this company had this little bitty boat, and it looked like the Lisa H. Remember when I sent you the picture
Oh
of the
yeah,
Lisa
that was
H?
so crazy. When Jesse was working on the river, he was that a boat or a barge?
It was a boat. It was a tugboat.
And so my name's spelled Lesa, and my maiden name starts with an H. And Jesse was that your company's boat, or you just saw it pass?
It was the company's boat I was working
Yeah,
for.
he sent me a picture of his boat called the Lesa Leesah, the Lisa H. How
Yeah.
weird, but anyway.
So they
Side
had
note.
this little ass tugboat, this company, and the tugboat was called Low Bid One, and it looked like a John boat with a tower on it. Like it was such a small barge. It was or a tugboat. So he's like, "Take me to the fucking bank." So me and this,
Oh, like the bank of the river. I thought you meant the bank, and I was like,
no, the
why
bank,
would y'all
no,
bring
the
the
river
bank?
bank, because we're out in the river on the
my
barge.
bad.
So me, the operator, this old dude that's like 70, and the boss get on the tugboat. And the boss is driving the tugboat. He's like jack of all trades. He can run the crane, drive the tugboat. He's taking us to the bank. Crazy operator gets up in the damn 70-year-old foreman's face, and he's like, "Can you tell Stevie's the guy that was in the man basket. He goes, "You tell Stevie I canceled that check for the cocaine he ordered." And I'm just sitting there
What?
like, holy fuck. Like, this guy's saying all kinds of crazy shit now. Like, what? He just said that? Yeah, he just ratted out the dude in the man basket saying, fucking, he's canceling getting that coke and he's keeping his money, it sounded like. So,
Interesting. They wrote a check for drugs.
nah, I think he probably just gave him money.
Oh.
But he's like, "Tell him I canceled that check for the coke he ordered." So I'm like, damn. And he's yelling at this 70-year-old
He's going
dude.
hard.
I'm like, this dude's fucking crazy. It never got no better, though. So we get to the bank. As we're going to the bank, he looks at me and he goes, "And that guy can't ask me if I've ever been with a man. And I'm writing a fucking statement. And I'm putting you as a witness." And I was like, "Listen here, buddy. You don't put me down as nothing.
Right?
Keep me the fuck out of it. I don't know what's going on here. I know we're supposed to be like locked in, but you're acting
No.
like a loose cannon right now." So we drop him off at the bank at this power company. This crazy guy goes straight to a bunch of white hats, which is like bosses at the power company. We can see him on the bank. He's pointing out at us and shit. And we're like, damn, what do you think he's telling them right now? Like, this
Yeah.
dude's going, lost his fucking marbles. So we get back out, and it's like an hour later, like fucking John boats are pulling up. All the big wigs at the company, they shut us down.
What?
Shut the job down solid for like 6 weeks over this shit.
6 weeks. Holy cow.
So it was like this big sexual harassment case.
Over
The
that guy
boss, like,
making that comment?
Yes, luckily, thank God, the boss, because like he was trying to like file charges where the boss would get sexual, sexual. It would be he'd have to
Like
register
sexual
for the rest of
assault
his
charges or
fucking
something.
life as
Oh
a
my
sex offender.
God.
Yeah, all over joking around at the toolbox talk. And I remember the guy called us. You remember? He was like, "I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you
come
had
by
to go
and
in a
talk to
meeting,
you."
didn't you, or something to meet them?
No, he went over to the meeting, and this guy's a loose cannon. I don't want to give too much out, but he's a loose cannon. He had a meeting. I think he got kicked out of the hall over it.
Oh.
Like he was just.
I thought
off
you
his
had to go
rocker.
have a meeting about what happened also.
I
you?
did. You're
Yeah.
right. I did have to go
You
have
had
a
to
meeting.
go with the big wigs at the hall and
I
have
forgot about that.
about what you saw there and if you thought they were
Right.
or something.
Yeah. So they replaced, dude. Finally, after like 6 weeks, I got people coming to me with the doll, like, "Show me on the doll where he touched you." I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing happened. So we get a new crane operator after we start back, and this guy was no better.
No.
I mean, sweat. He looked like, he probably listens to the podcast, and if you do, I'm sorry. But he looked like fucking Uncle Fester, right? Oh, bald head, sweating. It's like 60 degrees. I'm like, "Bro, what are you sweating for?" He'd go, "This is the crane operator. I'm trying to learn to be a crane operator, so anytime I'd get seat time, I'd take it." He'd be like, "You want to run?" Yeah. I'd get in there, and I'd be looking for him. I'd see him in the Connex box, and he'd have like a wire brush and a fucking bolt that we don't need for anything. He'd be jaw going all fucking crazy.
Cleaning
And I'm
it?
like, oh my God. Then they found the needles. So this dude was the new guy. He's running out of gas every fucking day down the street.
In his car?
It's just me and him as the operators, you know. That's like my brother. I got to take care of him. So every morning I'm fucking going down the street getting this guy.
On his way to work, he runs out of gas.
Yes, he had a BMW. I don't know if he put $5 in it because we worked like an hour away. Every day he would run out of gas about 15 miles from work.
Funny.
We'd all be sitting there waiting on him. I had to get in the truck or truck, go get him. So, yeah, but then they found needles up in the parking lot.
Oh.
The power company. It was like right where the dude parks. I'm like, holy shit. I was just so glad to get done with that job. I finally did. Turned out great. This is a picture of the mooring cell we built. It looks great.
I'll put it up. I think it's crazy how bold some of the operators are because the union does drug test like randomly. So
It's every field.
I guess you're right. They don't care if
It's
people
not
are
just
addicts.
like operators.
Yeah.
It's any job you go to. There's
That's
always
true.
going to be people that are addicts that can slip through and act like they're good, but then
Eventually,
it just
catches up.
seems
You
like it all
can't.
falls apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or in this guy's case, he was in for 20 years. Maybe he became one after,
Like later in life.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he was going hard.
So the original guy though, the loose cannon, just got kicked out of the hall. You never saw him again. He's just gone.
I
And
don't know what happened with it.
the sexual harassment thing got dropped, I guess.
I know the sexual harassment thing got dropped because I carried on with that company. Do you remember? I went to Nucor in Arkansas
That was
or
with
something.
the same company.
Yeah, that was with them. They wanted me to after.
Blytheville? Is
Yeah,
that where?
Blytheville,
Yeah.
Arkansas, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we I worked with the company for this job, built a mooring cell. The boss was cool as shit. And he's like, "You want to go with us to the next one?" I'm like, "All right." I didn't want to travel, but I was enjoying the crane thing, so I went with
And you
him.
don't want to pass up opportunities. Like, I think obviously you didn't want to travel.
It was 2 hours away, too.
Yeah, but
wasn't far.
it wasn't for like years. Like you knew there was just a X amount week job or
Right.
a couple months job, and you come home every weekend. So it's like sometimes you got to make some sacrifices that you don't want to do for the long term goal. That like you were getting all
Right.
this experience, you're meeting companies from across the country, big time companies, getting close with the bosses. Like that's all important to do.
Yeah.
To branch out.
And it's not bad. I don't give a shit what anybody says. They're like, "Oh, you're a kiss ass." If you talk to the boss, same goes back to how I was saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your, future.
Mhm.
If you're talking to the boss, more than likely he's got all the knowledge. They didn't just put a guy in there as a boss because he's a dipshit.
Yeah.
So don't let your coworkers be like, "Oh, you're the boss's pet." You're not the boss's pet. Find out knowledge from everybody
Yeah.
you meet. I mean, including the boss, because there's a reason he got there.
Yeah.
Not that you want to be a boss. You don't want to be a boss, that's cool, but you can still constantly learn and
Because imagine all
sharpen
the
your
things they've
skills.
seen on all kinds of different jobs and met all different operators and can say,
yeah.
oh, well, on this one job, they did that this way, like to learn a new way to do something with equipment, even, when you're
Right.
like, I didn't think about trying it like that.
Oh yeah.
They've probably seen it all. They're traveling different jobs. Like, yeah, I agree. There's
So
nothing wrong with being friends with the boss.
it's crazy times in the construction world. There's crazy times. I saw one time the drug test people pulled up on a job site, and this was when I was working for another company, just other operators. The E-bolt guy pulled up on the job site, and they were looking for one of the operators that was in a tractor and a pan. This wasn't union related, different job. The drug test people called for him. This dude stopped his tractor right where it was and ran into the woods.
What?
Yes.
He ran away?
Yes. He just fucking bolted, left his tractor in the middle of the haul road and ran away.
No way, he just waited him out in the woods? Or what? What do you do
He
next?
didn't come back that day.
That's
Then he
funny.
went home and got his shit right to where he could pass the drug test, I
Oh my
guess.
God.
Yeah.
People are nuts. That's funny.
Yeah. The boss on the job was like, "No, he's here." And then he called for him on the radio.
His truck's doors open.
They were like, "No, I think he left." He's like, "Where'd he go?" And they're like, "I don't know, but his tractor's
Must have
out
had
here."
an emergency.
Yep. I think that's what it was too. I think maybe the boss, somebody tipped him off that they were there, and he bounced real quick and then told the boss like, "Oh, I got sick. I had to go home."
Diarrhea, like
Yeah,
something
like your
urgent.
truck's still in the parking
Yeah.
lot. Did you?
There's
did
a
you
boot
Uber?
path in the rock out to
Yeah.
the woods that disappears.
Did you Uber home? Or?
That's funny.
That was that same job was actually the job where we had I'll tell this quick story too. So we had a borrow pit. So we were filling the side of this. It was like a big hillside bluff, hundreds of feet high. And we were benching in and filling it in so it wasn't so steep. And our borrow pit's at the end, but we would go down and we would turn and go up this big hill with tractor and pans and go up high, and then that's where we were scraping the dirt to build this up with. Well, one day we got a new water truck because it's so dusty with these tractor and pans. They just look like pig pen going across a school classroom, it's just dust rolling up. So we'd have these water trucks that would water. Well, usually they would water the whole road evenly, but we got a new one, which basically just dumped out a stream of water onto this disc, and it watered a path like 4 foot wide, not very wide. So we're all working, we're up in the cut, and the guy in front of me, and I've got a picture of this somewhere that we could put up too, the wreck. I've got the picture. So we're up in the cut. The water truck comes down the hill, but he only stayed on the left side where our left tires are. And I guess he was going to go around and do the right side. So as the guy comes over the hill, we had already got in trouble coming down this big ass steep hill. The easiest way to slow it down, because we'd be loaded with like 40 yards of soil. So that's a lot of weight pushing the tractor. So you'd want to lower your pan and scrape out a little bit of the hill as you're going down, and that slows you down. You might leave your pan a little light when you load coming down the hill, but then eventually your hill is going to be cut back, so they got onto us. Don't do that. So my buddy comes over the hill, and they'd watered the left side, and as he was using his tractor brakes to slow down, it locked up the the right side, and where the water was, it spun it around, jackknifed it going down the hill with two pans behind it. And I mean, it ended up with the back tires of the tractor on top of the tongue of the pan.
Whoa.
So our parking lot for all our cars were at the bottom of this hill.
Oh, no.
And I'm up in the cut, and I hear him come on the radio, and he's like, "Don't come over the hill. I just wrecked out." And I look over, and it's the whole field is just like this humongous dust cloud going up. I'm like, oh my gosh, what just happened?
That's crazy.
I got there, and he was getting a scolding from the boss. The boss was like standing up on the hills. Yeah, he was down, but it busted all these hydraulic lines. It was just like hydraulic fluid was pouring out from under it. The tires were on top of the tongue. It was all jacked up.
What did they have to do for that? To call tow trucks to like pull it all apart?
No, we had dozers and Tracos
that
there.
Makes sense. So you just pulled apart with that.
Yeah, we just hooked onto it and slid it around.
That's scary.
But it was damaged. They had to come out with the service truck and fix a bunch of shit.
Dang.
All right, so sorry for the disruption, but what's happened in the last 30 minutes?
Things got really escalated around here.
Things transpired. So what you didn't see was we stopped because we're actually selling the jet boat, the mini jet boat. We've taken it out. We've about wrecked every time we take it out. It's crazy. It's fast. It's terrifying. It's loud. So we're going to get rid of it, and we want a lake boat, something that the family can enjoy. So I've sold the jet boat to a guy in Missouri, and while we've been recording, he's coming. I knew that, so I was just going to pause the recording.
3 hours away, right?
3.5.
3.5 hour drive to get here to get this boat.
Yeah, to come get this boat. And he got pulled over. Like, we live
in the country.
In the country. And he got pulled over right in front of our house. So he's down there pulled over. I ride the buggy down to see what's going on. I hear the cop talking. He's revoked. He's got a check to buy a mini jet boat. Coming from another state.
This poor guy.
Got pulled over in front of my house.
Like, he was so close. He was like
there, dude. He had
100
foot. Yeah,
like
100 foot to go.
Driveway.
From a 3.5 hour drive, he had 100 foot to go, and he would have made it. And he got pulled over. And seems to be a big deal. So I went out there in the buggy. There's a couple cops.
Trying to help. Trying to diffuse.
I was hoping, that it was just something small, no big deal. But I heard the cop saying that he was didn't have his license, so that they were going to impound his truck.
Oh, man.
But let him go. So now
we've got a stranger.
Now we've got a stranger outside the house that I'm assuming we're going to have to put up in a room. And probably have to go get his truck out of impound.
He's still talking to the cops right now. We're hoping we can bring him on this episode, but we're not sure if he's getting arrested or not. It's kind of up in the air, I think.
Right. So in a second, we could pop up with Lesa and I on one side and a new guest on the other.
From Missouri.
he's our new house guest, I guess, because I don't know how the hell he's getting home. He's 3.5 hours away from home,
And it's 9 o'clock at
9
night.
o'clock at night. So,
Oh man, what a
and
bad
we don't
day.
have Uber where we live, so good
The
luck. We'll have
saddest
to
part-
call that girl Tina and Murray or whatever. It
They post on Facebook, they give rides.
Yeah.
The worst part is you just know this guy was on cloud 9. Like he's been working up all week, getting his money in the right places to come buy this boat. He's all excited. He's almost here. The
He's
GPS
going
is
on a
probably
suicide
like, you're
mission
0.1 miles to your
3.5 hours
destination.
away.
And then it's like, woo, woo, woo. He's probably
Oh,
like,
he's
damn
sick about it. I think I possibly heard him
Oof.
say that he had possibly, and I don't know this for sure, but he might have had a firearm. And the cop was like, they got him out of the car. And then once the second cop pulled up, I was like,
You're like, I
no,
better
it's not
step
looking
out.
good.
I'm going to go ahead and go back to the studio.
The best part about it was I pulled up, so he got pulled over right beside our pond dam, like 40 feet away. So I pulled up on the pond dam, and while he was talking with the cop, or actually the cop was getting out, I blared through my system on the side-by-side the cop's theme song. So I had it just blaring
no. What
out
did the
there.
cop do?
They were laughing.
They were laughing.
Yeah.
Jesse's going to end up arrested too. Obstruction of justice or something.
Right. Damn.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. So that's the fun and exciting stuff going on around here. We wanted to sell our jet boat, our mini jet boat, because well, we had a lot of reasons, but we wanted a bigger boat. We didn't need two boats or
No.
a boat that we wouldn't use.
And the thing with the jet boat, it's super fun and scary, but it is super loud. So like you can't like sit and chat and listen to music really on it.
No.
You know what I mean?
Music, you have to have headset on.
You have to have a headset
be
on.
able to
So like
sing.
you can't talk, you can't like, and if he has to turn it off if you want to chat or listen to music, and then it's like floating, so you're gonna like hit the side of the river. So it's like it's fun to go zip around on, but like I'm trying if I'm on a boat to listen to music and talk and have snacks and like
Right.
get some sun. So
And it's like a crotch rocket, so if you've got it, you're gonna use it.
yeah,
So like everywhere we go, we're just like
really
"Rah,"
fast.
just ripping.
So you're always praying the whole time. or at
Yeah,
least
like
I am.
each turn we're like,
Like,
oh,
please get me through this.
me
Jesus,
too. I'm just
help me.
hoping we get around that curve without
It's pretty
messing
scary.
up.
So, but we have to talk about the boat we found because Jesse has, I don't want to say you have great luck because a lot of the things you have in life are definitely self-made.
It's called skill, baby.
It's something. It's pretty good vibes.
Thank
Tell
you.
them
thank
about
you.
tell them about the new boat you got, the deal.
So, when will this episode? I want to make sure we've got it in our possession.
We will. It'll be a few weeks.
Yeah.
But and mind you, Jesse's been sending me links to boats. Like once he gets, I'm like, agree that we can buy a
I
new
think it's
item.
every week we're talking about buying something new. Didn't we just? Oh, the dozer. We were just
That's
talking
for work
about.
though. But we don't buy a lot of stuff for personal, honestly. Like
Right.
that's blowing money, I don't think. And it's a family thing we can do. But Jesse's been sending me like once he has something he can buy, no matter if it's for work or personal, he like hyper focuses on it. So he's been sending me like 10 links a day of boats from here to like 6 hours away. I
Texas.
stopped even looking at the links. I'm like, I'm too busy to worry about a boat. I don't know anything about boats. I can't
I'm
make
just
any
sending you
choices.
to him so I can save them. Basically.
I know, but I'm like, this is crazy. Where are you finding these things? So he found this one locally. What do you want to talk about that boat yourself?
Yeah. Well, we could.
Go ahead.
So I found a late model boat that said it had 400 hours on it, and it was already at 400 hours. It was super low on the price, so it was perfect. We went and looked at it.
Beautiful boat.
It was a beautiful boat. I mean,
Like-
it looked brand new.
Tell it had been stored
Yeah.
like indoors and like
Yeah.
covered, and I mean, it was
Next
so
to it
clean.
was a $200,000 boat that they had, so they take care of their shit. They
Yeah.
had some nice stuff, and it was actually Tony Stewart's boat.
It had the,
the wake
name
boat,
Smoke
Smoke.
on the side, which I guess is his nickname.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it called? Is it a Supra?
It was a super wake boat. So the boat we're buying was sitting next to this massive like wake boat, and I'm
Yeah.
like, damn,
Like, what's that?
whose boat's that? And he's like, that's my son's. And I was like, damn, how much that cost? And it was expensive. It was a lot.
180 or something.
It was
crazy.
185. He said.
Oof.
So I was like, damn. And he said he bought it off Tony Stewart, the NASCAR driver. So
Yeah.
that was cool. So they
That was cool.
basically what it told me was they take care of their shit.
Yeah, they spend
usually.
money on quality stuff and
Yeah, if it needs an
all.
oil change,
Yeah.
they have it done or whatnot. So we worked this deal with the guy, super cool. And turns out he's a car salesman.
Oh
So
yeah, right.
yeah, But super cool. So he calls me. We never checked the hours when we were there at the boat.
He had to charge up the battery, he said. So we're like,
Yeah.
we'll look at it next weekend when we test drive it on the
Right.
lake. No big deal.
It was the dad, and he didn't know nothing about the boat. And he's like, well, and he tried to turn the key, and it didn't turn on. Boat looks brand new. Didn't turn on, but we just came out of winter, so I'm thinking it could be a dead battery, but that's not nothing. So the son calls me, and he's like, no, you got to bump the key to get the dash to come on. So the battery was good. We just didn't bump the key. And he said he bumped the key, and he's like, boy, we made a mistake. And I was like, what's that? And he said that boat has got 29 hours on it. And it's a
Like brand new.
2015 Yamaha 192 SX. So it's a supercharged ski boat with 29 hours on it.
Super clean.
Super clean, in our price range. So we lost some money on the jet boat. We took a beating on the jet boat, honestly.
Yeah. That little Mountain Dew wrap was excessively expensive. Like,
I felt like it was worth it. It gave me the, I mean, even though me and you and I are the only ones that ever fucking seen it in person.
I'm glad it brought you joy, but it was
It did bring me
a little
joy.
bit of waste of money in my opinion, but that's all right.
You know,
Whatever.
pleasure costs sometimes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and the cage,
Oh yeah, then we had built the cage.
which it was kind of needed.
Yeah,
Kind of.
kind of.
You think that guy's still out there pulled
I
over?
don't know, I think you should check on him.
All right, let's check on him. Let's stop.
You want to go look out front?
Just look out the window. All right, so we took another pause to check on the status of the jet boat buyer. We checked when it started. There was one cop. We came back to start recording the first time. There was two cops.
I think there's a third. It really looked like it.
We've
to
got
me.
3 cops now, so maybe he won't be.
We don't know if he's going to make
staying.
it to be a guest. We really wanted him on.
Might not be buying the jet boat. It sounds like, which doesn't hinge on our plans, but it would be nice if he would buy the jet boat.
For sure.
Yeah,
But he'll
help.
still buy it. He's got to have a friend with
But
a truck
the thing
come
is
pick it up.
after I made the deal with this guy and I went lower than what I was wanting, then I had 5 other people messaging,
it's the
hey, yeah,
worst.
all interested. It always happens that way. You come down and then 5 people are like, cash
Everybody
money
wants it.
on my
Yep.
way.
I'm glad
But-
that you hold up your end of the deal.
So
though.
I know the dude watches the podcast because he told me he loves the episode. So I'm sorry if my intuition led me to be the better person in this. Maybe I wasn't meant to sell it that cheap. Maybe my intuition got you fucked up
What,
and
the
got
guy
you
that's
pulled over.
buying the boat watches our podcast?
Yeah. I told him about it. He loves it.
Oh, I was like, I thought you meant he watched it and then found us, like, saw
No.
our boat was for sale. That
No,
would
I
have been
told
crazy.
him, and then a few hours later he messaged
that's
me. He's like, just got done
cool.
with episode 1. We love it.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, he'll probably hear this, but maybe sorry if you got pulled over because my intuition's so strong that it's just like, Jesse, don't sell that boat that cheap.
I think it'll still work out.
It'll work
He
out.
just has to get a ride.
Yeah, 3.5 hours away with a boat towing behind. You think they got an
Damn.
Uber with a trailer hitch where this guy can take
I
this
mean,
boat
I
back?
guess you never know. Call him Mary and Tim.
What this will really end up being is Lisa having to do a lot more work. Probably tomorrow you'll have to get him insurance on his truck. Go
I don't have
figure out how to
time.
get his truck out of inbound.
Listen, I don't have time because I haven't edited the episode that's coming out this weekend, and today is Wednesday night. And tomorrow we're going to see our favorite comedian, Theo Vaughn, and I'm super pumped. He added
Fox
a
Center?
show, Fox Theater
Okay.
in St. Louis. He added a show. He's been on tour for the last, I don't know, almost a year it seems like, and I've looked for shows and they're all sold out or super far from where we live. And a few weeks ago, like on Facebook, there was an ad that he added a show in St. Louis, which we're a couple hours from him. I was like, we're going to this show because we love Theo Vaughn. He's so funny. And we're so excited. So tomorrow I have to try to get the podcast edited, do my real work, take care of our kids, get them squared away, pack our bags, and get to St. Louis.
So
This guy's on his own.
while you were saying all that, you know what was going through my mind as a man?
What?
I was thinking, most women, because you said you like Theo Vaughn, he's like not the Rat King or something, but he kind of.
I think he is. I think
he
that's
is
what
the
his
Rat
tour
King.
is
Okay,
called,
the
I
Rat
think.
King.
Or something like that.
Okay, so she's like, she really likes Theo Vaughn.
We like
We,
Theo
he's
Vaughn.
funny. But I'm just, while you were talking, I was thinking, wait a minute. I thought all the girls like Matt Rife.
Ugh.
And then I thought to myself, no, my old lady likes some fucking rat tail guys. And then I thought to myself, damn, that's me. I'm the rat tail guy.
You are the rat tail guy.
Like, your vibe is Theo, not Matt.
Yeah, Matt Rife is not attractive in my opinion. He No offense to him. I mean,
he's just witty. He's funny. So that
he's
makes
attractive
him-
to a lot of people. He's just not my type
Right.
at all. But and I don't think Theo Von's necessarily attractive. I just think he's a really funny comedian. I've never looked at Theo Von and thought maybe, you know, sometimes when I watch it, I see his little clips from when he was saying church songs on
That
live
is funny
TV.
shit.
I'm a little
You think
interested.
of me as a little kid.
Yeah.
I already know. He's got that mullet, and you just imagine
And I think
him
like
with the rat
it's
tail.
just like Jess up there when he's like 11,
Getting it.
praising the good Lord Jesus.
That's right.
On the it's like Pentecost or Southern Baptist.
We're super
TV.
stoked about it. It's going to
Yeah.
be a good show. I'll probably show up late for work on Friday, but are we staying in St. Louis?
Yeah.
So we'll stay in St. Louis, see the show, and then
Get up early. and go to
depending on
work.
how the night goes. I mean, Friday's not too booked
I'm sure
up.
you'll have to be at least like a couple hours late because you guys start at what 6:30 or 7, and you're 2 hours away. My God, like you'll have to
Right.
be slightly late. I think it'll
I'm
be
planning
okay.
on being like more than slightly late,
Yeah,
depending on how the night goes.
yeah,
People like Lisa and I, we might be hanging out with the guy.
right. I
end of
mean
the
that's
night.
true. I'm not.
I'm not
I
cutting my
wouldn't
work
be.
days.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Right.
Yeah, and we're driving separate because Jesse does have to go to work Friday, and he's the best husband ever. So I was like, I could sleep in and do a little shopping before I have to rush back home. So we're gonna drive separate.
I don't recall you saying the shopping part.
I did.
I thought it's because you didn't want to get up early.
It's two-sided, but there's no shopping in Southern Illinois. So while you're in St. Louis, you gotta hit some
When
stores.
in Rome, you might as well.
Gotta buy some clothes.
So, on top of all that fun stuff, we're trying to finish the week off a little bit better than we started it. Earlier this week, I broke the golden rule as a boss and an operator. I preach this stuff all the time to the guys. Park, certain ways to park, certain places. Don't park in the work zone. Earlier this week, I pulled right up in the middle of another construction site to talk to some guys about some work. And when I pulled up in the center of the job, I got out and talked to the skid steer guy. Talked for a second, went over, talked to the guy in the excavator. While I'm talking to the guy in the excavator, we hear a bam. And I already knew what time it was. I turned around, and the skid steer backed into my truck and lifted my truck up. And he was pulling back forward. When I turned around, I seen it sitting down and smashed my bumper on my truck. The operator should have been looking. He probably got complacent. I preach this shit all the time.
You shouldn't have been there.
But in the same sense, I shouldn't have pulled up in the center of the worker area. So, 2 for 1. 2 fuck ups. It was a learning experience. Like I told the guy, at least it wasn't a person.
Yeah,
A
no
truck is
kidding.
fixable. It's all good.
It's a good reminder to be watching it all the time, especially backing up.
Yeah. So
or
if you're
anytime.
running equipment, you're thinking about getting into heavy equipment, operating, you've got to have your head on a swivel, and you got to feel like somebody's going to run under your track at any minute. Like when I'm working, my head and my eyes are constantly looking at all points because within 5 feet, somebody could step out. And especially with residential work, because with residential work, they're not used to the equipment. They're not used to being around the construction.
They're curious. They wanna come
So
up.
many times I've swung around and they'll be standing like they walk up beside the tractor.
Oh my God.
And it's happened on the skid steer too, which is the worst machine, I think, with visibility because it's got the arms on the side. You can't see nothing behind you. You got a backup camera, but it fucks with your depth perception. If there's a fence and I'm backing up, it looks funny. So just out of habit, you want to look.
Yeah.
So you're like looking at all these things, but it's just be careful. When we hire people, we tell them that. I talk about it. I don't know why I parked there. I don't know why he didn't look. I mean, he was facing my truck when I pulled up and talked to him.
Right.
He just got to working and then got turned around and was back dragging and forgot that I'd parked there. And this all happened within 5 minutes of me pulling up. And we have full box talks every day saying this stuff. And it's easy to let it just not sink in and just be like, oh, it's the same stuff.
Right.
But there's a reason that we're talking about it. So it's important. I messed up. He messed up. I got a fucked up truck.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. But it'll get fixed.
Right. Better it's not a person.
Old Black Betty will be
Yeah.
back in. The guy was like, you want OEM parts. I wouldn't put OEM parts on it. I was like, why the fuck you think I want? Or no. He said you want aftermarket parts. He's like, I could do aftermarket parts a lot cheaper, but I wouldn't do aftermarket parts. And I was like, do I look fucking like I'm hurting or something? I don't want aftermarket
I
shit.
think it's
I want
nice he
GM.
offers it.
It was.
It's a good company. They fixed my Audi twice when a deer hit it, and then some lady backed into it once. It's Greither's Paint and Body
Shop.
Is that what it's called?
Murfreesboro. They're
In
very
Murfreesboro,
good.
Ben
That's why I took
Greither.
it to him. Yep.
We have a good report. We have our friend's a mechanic for Volkswagen, but he loves Audi vehicles, and he recommended them when my Audi got hit by the deer. And I mean, they do a phenomenal work. They're great, and they're like a local family company.
Yeah, he was real nice. He came out. You could tell he was assertive, knew what he was doing.
He'd be a good guest.
Yeah. Well, this may be a short episode because we're just eager to find out what happened to the guy
Gotta
behind
know.
the jet
We might
boat.
have to go help him. And
We
put
have
him
a
up.
random guest possibly
Yeah.
here that we've got to deal with outside that's from 4 hours away, and it's, again, 9 o'clock at night. So we got to go get that check, get rid of that boat. I mean, he can't even hook up to the fucking boat, his truck.
Oh, this is all crazy.
I've got a plan, though, and I'll let you know if this works on the next episode. I think if they arrest him, I think it should be a cash bond without seeing a
They don't even have
judge.
cash bond. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. They won't even
I
arrest him.
don't-
No wonder they didn't arrest him. That's why they said they won't arrest him.
Illinois doesn't have cash bond anymore. It's super weird, but they can hold you overnight to see a judge in the morning, like they did my friend that had that weird traffic offense.
Right.
And they like held her overnight,
Yeah.
and then she didn't even see a judge. Our state is jacked right now. It's real messed up. But so I don't know what will happen. You better
I'm
find out.
hoping that they use the tow service that, well, I don't think they put a hold on it, so I think they'll just tow it, and then hopefully I can
Go get it out or
go.
something.
I'll have to have fucking real life Luke tote me on my Ducati down there and drop me off, and I'll tote this guy's truck back here, I
Golly,
guess.
what a mess. We'll figure it out. But we
Butt
got
to
to
butt,
remember
Luke,
to update.
not the butt. You got to sit backwards. You got to ride on the bike backwards, facing the back. All right. Well, we'll wrap up next week. We'll have more time. We'll tell you how the pulled over buyer from out of state does.
Mhm.
And hell, it could pop back up and the guy be sitting here.
Right.
I don't know.
We'll
see
see
how
soon
the night
in the next
goes.
15
so.
minutes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on again. My beautiful wife,
Anytime.
Lisa. Everybody loves you, including me. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Reckless Success. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. All right, guys. We're going to wrap up. You can follow us on TikTok and YouTube at reckless.success. Instagram at recklesssuccess. We're on Spotify and all major podcast services. Hit that subscribe button, please. For more information on May Excavating, check out our website or TikTok. That's a wrap. Thanks.